Welcome to the Afropreneur Without Border Business Show. My name is Clyde Sharati, and I'm again very happy to have this opportunity to talk about business. And today I have a guest by the name of Star Ndawana, who is with us from Adelaide, South Australia. Good morning, Star. How are you?
Oh, not too bad. How you going, Clyde?
Good, good. How's life in Adelaide treating you?
Unfortunately, right now it is miserable and raining, but that's what we can expect in winter.
Yeah, winter is like that, and Melbourne is actually even a little worse than Adelaide. But anyway, you only take what you get. You have no option to choose. The weather. All right, Star, can you please introduce yourself to our audience so we know exactly? I know you are in businesswoman and you work in the healthcare industry, but give us a little bit more about yourself.
All right. My name is Star Sitabile Ndawana. I am the founder of Triple S. I am married, mother of three, and moved to Australia in 2008. Worked mainly in health, older persons, then moved to community, then decided to open up Triple S a couple of years ago. So yeah, that's just me in a nutshell.
Sure. So Triple S is a business that provide what type of services?
All right, Triple S is divided into three parts. We are mostly in the health field.
Yep.
So we work in the NDIS space, but we also work with DVA as well. And
Hmm.
that is the Defense of Veterans Affairs. And we also work in the recruitment space, so providing nurses, registered nurses, enrolled nurses, PCAs to hospitals and nursing homes all over Australia.
All right. And how long have you been in business for?
Oh, we've been in business since Triple S was founded in 2021, December 2021. So it's been a couple of years now.
All right. And how's things going?
Busy, getting even more busier, which is really quite good. But we still have a lot of work to do.
Absolutely. And give us a little bit of an understanding of what led you to go into business rather than just have a normal career, quietly get your money every fortnight or a month without having to worry about getting clients and satisfying them.
Well, in all honesty, my journey started in 2008 when we first moved.
Hmm.
Loved where I used to work. It was absolutely amazing. It was all about the residents. That was in older persons. But there was a few things that needed to be improved then. So that place shut, and then we moved to another place. And there we were allowed to make a lot of changes, to the policies and procedures, to the processes. And as a result of that, we ended up winning a safety quality award in 2018.
Hmm.
But that wasn't enough because some of the families that we would meet during that time, they were really quite guarded and they weren't as open. And I was always wondering why we are offering this, but they're not really quite receptive. So I decided to change my career path and go work in community adults just to understand what families go through. And after working there for a couple of years, I thought, you know what? I've done a gap analysis. I can see that these things that still need growth. And then I just thought, let me take that plunge and open up Triple S and see where it will take me.
Well, you took the plunge, and it worked. Almost 3 years now, the business is doing well. We know people who have started a business, but they couldn't survive because of any number of things. But you're still here. You are growing. what do you think is what are the ingredients for your success so far?
Um, I remember someone once told me that you have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Hmm.
That was the
Absolutely.
first thing for me. I had to be comfortable with being uncomfortable, and I had to challenge myself. Um, believe me, there's so many times where I've thought, this is really quite hard, and I'm just going to stop.
Mm.
And my mom, bless her, she would always say to me, Star, have you actually achieved your goal? The vision that you had in the beginning, have you achieved it? And I would say, no, I'm far from it. And she'd be like, okay, that's fine then, because no one said it's going to be a smooth road all the way.
Yeah.
There's going to be some bumps and there's going to be some turns. This is it. So you just have to focus on what your end goal is and you just stick with it. And that's what's kept me going.
All right. We met you. You and I met originally at the Afropreneurs Summit in
Yes.
Adelaide that you attended. Tell us about a bit about how you saw that whole platform and what are your views on it?
You know what? It was fantastic. It was really quite good to have so many people that have similar mindsets all in one room. And there were also amazing speakers as well that really kept you motivated. Like, even if you had that little bit of self doubt on
Hmm.
that day, you walked out thinking, yes, I can do this. There's many of us. We're all in this together. So it was a beautiful, beautiful event.
And do you think uh, we do need more of such forums in the community to encourage and facilitate entrepreneurship?
Yes, please. Definitely, we do.
And what are some of the things that you would kind of recommend that we do on a community level? Because obviously the aim of our platform is to try and to encourage more entrepreneurship. But besides the forums or the foria, what comes to your mind about some of the other things that we need to do to encourage more people like yourself to move from just having a job, being an employee, to starting a business and being successful into it?
More, if we were to be able to talk a lot more, be
Hmm.
open a lot more with each other as women, as people in business. I'll give you a classic example. Us women, we always do these savings groups, or we always do some handbag club groups, but there's very few and between
Hmm.
groups that actually promote businesses. Like, I'm actually maybe a part of two that I know, but more of that, being more active on social media as well, and just putting it out there as women that, let's have all of these groups and we can talk about and we can encourage each other to be in business.
Absolutely. Now that brings me to the next thing I wanted to talk about is women business. One thing I noticed in the Adelaide Summit compared to all the other summits that we've organized is that women rule in Adelaide. It's it's like 90% of the attendants, the participants who own business were women. Where is that coming from? Is this just the water in Adelaide, or there's something more to that?
I think, you know what? I think it's, I'll give you a story to
Yeah.
answer your question. When I was growing up, my mom used to have a 9 to 5, just like any other parent. They had
Hmm.
9 to 5 work. But when it came to, run about school fees time or Christmas time or holidays or anything like that, she would always be sewing and she would always be knitting, making jumpers, making jerseys, making extra money. Back then, when you're young, you don't really notice that importance.
Hmm.
It's later on in life that's when you think, wow. that woman was a genius. She was just finding ways in making extra money because she was a tailor, and she thought she would make money out of her own talent. So that has always been in my head from the time that I was young. Go with your talents, go with what you're good at. And now, when coming to Australia, we now have the resources really to just showcase and do what comes to us naturally as women. We are providers in our own way. So now, all of those hobbies that we used to do back home, and we never really used to think it might venture into a business because we don't have all of the resources. Here in Australia, we do. So people are making the most of it. So I think that's what's making the women here in South Australia go into entrepreneurship.
Well, but when you look at it, really, in the African context, we know that back home in Africa, many of our mothers, many of the women are really entrepreneurial. It may not be necessarily the form of entrepreneurship that we are used to talk about and see in Australia, but they are entrepreneurial in a sense that they do a lot of activities to take care of their families, to raise income, and then some of them go into building big businesses. It's kind of in the DNA, isn't it?
Exactly. They already laid the blueprints for us. So it's just a matter of us here now, because we have the resources to elevate it.
But
So that's
do you think people fully understand the amount of opportunities that are available in a country like Australia for migrants like us? And obviously, I know that there's a bit of a growth in entrepreneurship take up within the community, but we're still quite far behind compared to other communities. Let's say the Indians, for example, the Asians, Jewish and Italians before them. Do you believe that enough of us in the community understand the level of opportunity, the magnitude of opportunities that we have, and are giving themselves enough to go into business?
I don't think a lot of people do understand. And unfortunately, I think this is where us as a community, we need to be able to educate each other and to push each other. Because, there is always that thing that as an African, I've come here as maybe as a refugee, or I've come here as a student. No one is really going to listen to my dreams or to my vision, and which is a wrong concept to have. I think that's where maybe us people that have been in countries for a little bit longer, maybe we might take the time to actually encourage, these younger ones, or, these students to be like, if you have a vision and if you have a goal, just go ahead and do it, regardless of your skin color, or regardless of whether you come from Africa. So it will be a matter of us educating us as Africans to be like, we bring a whole lot more to this country, not just coming here as a refugee, but we come with a whole wealth of knowledge. We come with a whole wealth of experience. Like we've just spoken about, our mothers, laying the blueprint for us. It's already in our DNA. So why come here and doubt ourselves? We don't have to do that. We just have to be confident in what we bring to the table.
Absolutely, but for women, then there are challenges such as motherhood and being able to hold a family and at the same time, run a business. And that's why I was saying earlier, what's going on in Adelaide, because obviously in the Australian context, men have a little less to do. I mean, I could be generalizing here. I see women doing a lot more to keep a family together, but at the same time, they're also going into business, so they're able to manage those challenges. Where is that energy coming from?
you have to know what your vision is. You have to know what your passion is, where your goal is. Like,
Mm,
as women and as mothers, we are naturally, you have to prepare, like time management skills. They all come into place. All of those things prepare you for business as well. How you handle your kids. Sometimes you have to think outside the box.
mm,
That also works in business as well. And at the same time, it's also mostly the people that you surround yourself with. That is very important. You have to surround yourself with people that are going to push you, other women that are going to, raise you, and who are going to be absolutely honest with you, whether it's good or whether it's bad, just to keep you going. And also, your partner or your husband, they have to be very supportive as well, because it takes a whole family or a village for you to be able to do this business. It's not just the one face that's going to be doing everything.
mm.
So yeah, it's a combination of a few things.
Sure. And I see a lot more people of your country where you come from, Zimbabweans, into business. For pretty much all the summits we've organized, they tend to be quite. I mean, the number of Zimbabweans born African Australian have always been high. How do you explain that? Is that something coming from, I don't know, President Mugabe, who's no longer there?
Now, like I said, I think, you know, poverty does a lot of things to people.
Mm,
And one of the things that it makes you do is to be innovative and to be creative. I'll give you another really quick example. Hubby's back home currently. Unfortunately, there was a funeral
mm,
that he needed to attend. But across the house where we live, there was like a little bush, a bushy area
mhm,
that wasn't being utilized at all. And this is going 2 years ago. And then I saw a video of it literally yesterday. And what people have done is they have converted that bush area to a driving school.
mm,
So what they've done is a group of driving instructors came together, cleared the area, put some drums, and put some wood
mhm,
to create lanes. And that's where they are training people how to drive, before they actually go onto the roads.
mm.
So, anybody could have said, I'm in Zimbabwe, things are really quite bad right now. The economy is really quite tough. There is nothing for me. But these people were very creative and they were innovative, and they thought, this is what we can do for ourselves and for our children. So I think us Zimbabweans, we have that little bit of extra resilience,
Mhm.
because things have been tough for a very long time. But we always strive to do better. And, we never make excuses. Things are hard, that's fine. But I will find something that I can do to make things better.
Yeah, but and it also has to be said, I think there's also something that has to do with education, because the education system in Zimbabwe has been quite good for quite some time, and that's probably one of the best achievements of the late President Mugabe, isn't it?
Yes, I give him that. Even still to this day, guys here in Australia, they still tease me and they say, oh yes, just because you got Cambridge English, that's the whole reason why your English comes across in a certain way. But
Yeah.
yes, education does go a long way, and I'm very grateful to have had that education back in Zimbabwe, because yeah, I am where I am today
All right,
because of
and that explains also partly why a lot of Zimbabweans who have come from here, some have come from England or or New Zealand, or sort of second migration, because they've had opportunities also to go in other places and see how things are done, and are more sort of open to exploring these opportunities for self development in business, isn't it?
Yes, and that's true. And from a very young age, we were always encouraged to travel the world, because there's nothing as teaching as being world traveled, because
Mm,
that way at least you go, you get to see, you get to experience, um, and experience is the better teacher than books or having to be on telly or watch things
mm.
on telly. So yeah, I actually give him credit that for that.
Maybe just for that. We don't know about something else, but for that, we'll give them credit.
Yes, please.
That's good. Now, let's talk about some of the challenges that you have encountered in your business journey. Because obviously, when I hear you talk, you've got that motivation and drive, and obviously you want to be able to do even better than what you're doing now. But and it may seem to someone like business is easy. I can just go in and should be fine. But we know that it's not always as sexy as it may sound. What are some of the challenges you have encountered from the moment you sort of start thinking of planning and starting your business to where you are now, that you can share with us?
Oh, you know what? There is a lot of challenges. I'll have to break them down for you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like um, financially,
Mm-hmm.
most people will always think that once you get into business, the money starts rolling in. To set up a business is not expensive. Let's make that very, very clear. It's
Yeah,
not that difficult, because anybody can register, get an ABN, and you're on your road.
that's right.
Um, However, by doing that and not having, maybe the right advice, you don't really know, when you're registering your business, are you going to be a sole trader? Are you going to be a trust? Are you going to be a non-for-profit? There is all of these things that if you don't do the right research and have the right people in place, um, you will get into one, debt, or
Mm-hmm.
you will be absolutely lost, because the ATO is going to be looking at you and thinking, "Ooh, I'm going to be having some of that money," or with a lot of other people, So you have to surround yourself with the right people. So
Mm.
in my experience, I will be very honest, at the beginning, I did not have the right people in place. So it took me a while to understand that I've got this vision, this
Mm.
is my goal. However, I'm not going to be the one to be able to sort out the finances. I'm not going to be the one to sort out all of the policies and procedures. Um, so I had to make sure that now I have, the right accountants, the right bookkeeper, the right HR, the right solicitor, the right financial advisor in the company for it to actually prosper and grow. And then those
Mm.
people are the ones that actually allow me to be able to put my vision in place.
Mm.
That's one. And then secondly, not everybody is going to be very happy for you. Unfortunately, as Africans, we do have a way of putting each other down, which
Yeah.
we're trying to change that narrative. So for me, I know it took me a while to understand, because I thought, hang on, as a fellow African, you meant to be happy for me.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, other fellow Africans would not see it that way. I'll give you a very classic example.
Mm.
We had a client in Queensland, and we had hired these amazing nurses, absolutely amazing nurses. Um, but they went to the client and they tried to solicit the client. All right. But obviously the client, we had contracts that were signed, and then this client informed us, and then unfortunately we had to terminate the contract for the staff, which was really quite sad, and it bothered me for a very long time. And when I was talking to other women in business, they were like, it's the norm. That's what happens, especially amongst Africans. Unfortunately, we have that track records now, that we will tear each other down. And for me, it really, really bothered me. So for a few months, I obviously didn't talk to this woman. And then I just thought, for me to actually get over this, I picked up the phone and I called her. And I just wanted to say, listen, I know you also have your own business. However, if you needed any advice, you should have come to me. You should have been honest and said, Star, this is what I need to do, and I'm not sure. How would I go about it? Than for you to actually try and steal the clients. It doesn't work that way, because you've now put the client in a difficult position, and you've now put yourself in a difficult position, and myself, because it looks like I don't know what's happening in my backyard. And I just said to her, I don't want to be the one to dampen your dream. For me, I do forgive you. However, don't do that again. If you're not sure about something, ask. Because if you ask, at least, there are some people that will point you in the right direction. And then we won't have that stigma that, Africans just tear each other down and they just steal from each other. We're trying to change the narrative here. We've got all of these resources. So there is those challenges as well. And, when it also comes to the personal challenges, you wish there was 28 hours or 30 hours in a day.
Yes. Yes, I know something about that.
Exactly. So, you get to miss out on a lot of things, school activities for the kids. But then you just tell yourself that I'm doing this for them.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, I think you have described something there that is very important, in a sense that we've heard a lot of stories in our communities where people are pretty much destroying each other, undermining each other, and that is not good. We have to be able to empower each other rather than undermine it. If you start a business on a wrong footing by stealing someone's client, I wonder, even morally, spiritually, and many of us, are spiritual, but we still do some of these things. Obviously, we don't want to necessarily portray a very negative image of us, but that's a reality we need to deal with. And do you think many of these things are coming from maybe some sort of poverty mentality or jealousy? Where is it coming from?
I was listening. I listened to Vusi Tembiwayo like a lot.
Yeah.
He's
Yes.
South African public speaker, and
Yes.
he is absolutely amazing. And he actually made me think. Back home, everybody is in the same footing. Like, everybody is struggling, everybody is suffering. And when you have like a few people that actually rise or manage to get out of that poverty, it's like they will pull you back to be like, no, we're meant to be here together. You can't rise, because it doesn't work that way. And unfortunately, I think for us Africans, we have taken that mentality that we have in that environment back home, and we have brought it here.
Yeah.
Whereas here, it's the land of opportunity. There is many resources. There is many opportunities for people to grow. So it would be a matter of us educating us again as Africans that, come on, we are now in a totally different setting. We have to change our own mindset to actually encourage and we all grow, because there is power in numbers. Big
Yeah.
power in numbers. Like if you look at businesses like Italians, you know, how many restaurants, you know, Greeks, how many restaurants they have, you know, property, like Indians, a lot of property. And then you look at us, Africans, it's like, I will be the one to do my own thing and I will rise, but I will not help my fellow African, which is really quite sad. So it's us having to change that mindset and educate each other and push each other so that we all grow together.
Absolutely. Educate each other, push each other, collaborate, partner. In fact,
Oh,
that's
yes.
that's one of the our motto actually on Afropreneurs Summit platform, which is collaborate to elevate. In order for us to elevate ourselves higher, we need to not undermine ourselves, but work together, educate ourselves, and that requires a lot of effort. And we need to be the change that we want to see in the community. Unfortunately, time is flying. I would have wanted to continue this conversation because I know and I can tell you there's a lot more that we can get from you, but we will just stop here for now. We will create another opportunity in the future where we'll talk more about some of these things that are happening both in your own experience in the South Australian experience, and we're trying to connect many of us entrepreneurs as possible so that that change of narrative can take place where we can do more to help each other through our entrepreneurial endeavors. Star Ndawana, thank you very much for your time to our show. And maybe I'll just give you 30 seconds to say a last word to the people who are watching out there. What sort of piece of wisdom you can tell them before we finish this
Uh,
interview?
my favorite quote is there is no elevator to success. You just got to climb the stairs, step at a time.
And you will
That's
get there.
yeah.
Absolutely. Well, that's one way to really wisely put it. Yeah, you can get there. There's no elevator, but just keep climbing and you will get. So, thank you very much. And we wish you good luck in everything you're doing in Adelaide, South Australia, and maybe even other places as well, because you're trying to expand your business, but your headquarters are in Adelaide. And we'll look forward to another opportunity in the future where we can talk more about business and community.
Lovely. Thank you very much for having me, Clyde.
All right. Thank you. Have a good day.
And you.